Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joshsnipes, and if you're just checking out the channel for the first time, we do all sorts of operator guides, map guides, tips and tricks, a bunch of different videos here on the channel. So if that's stuff you're into, make sure to hit the like on the video because it really helps out the channel a ton. The algorithm seems to really like that as of now, so just do me a real quick favor of doing that, and we can get started with today's video. Now, today we're going to be taking a look at Siege Academy number 9, if you couldn't already tell from the title. But with that, if you don't know what Siege Academy is, it is a subreddit that you can go and ask all sorts of different questions. There's a ton of different people on there. We have diamonds, champions, people who play comp. We also have a bunch of newbies. You have me and a bunch of other content creators that are also on there that like to do tip videos and give operator guides and things like that. So you have a wealth of knowledge, and if you have a really interesting question, I usually try and pull them from the subreddit so that way I can go ahead and answer them in this video format. But if you really just have a question and maybe this doesn't get put in the video, just go ahead and either leave me a comment down below or leave it on the sub, and I'm sure me or someone else will be able to actually answer that question with some good information to back it up. Now, the first question that we're going to be taking a look at is the potential tactical implication of Ace. Ace being the new operator that we're going to be getting here in quite a few days, if not today by the time this video actually comes out. And I think one of the most interesting thoughts that this guy had was, instead of, replacing Hibana or Thermite and just keeping 2 hard breachers or even just keeping the 1, why don't we try bringing all 3 in a Thatcher just to open everything up? And I think in the current meta, this utility heavy meta and this 20-second meta, as the pros like to call it, I don't really think that's a viable option to bring that many hard breachers when, let's say, you have a Hibana, Thermite, and you have an Ace and a Thatcher. Who's going to be that 5th operator, and how are you going to get rid of all the utility that is in sight? None of those operators have frag grenades as far as I know, so you're going to run into a lot of issues. Say if there's a Maestro, or maybe there's a new Malusi gadget or a bulletproof camera that you can't really get rid of. There's so many things that you won't be able to get rid of if you lose, say, an Ashe and a Zofia, or maybe you keep the Zofia and you get rid of the Sledge or Buck or whoever to be able to actually do some soft breaching and actually make some moves on that front. I don't think that Ace is going to be a 3rd hard breacher that you're going to be bringing on everything, but I do think that Ace will allow for more flexibility within a team comp. And I think that's one of the best things about Ace, is that the more operators that seem to keep coming that almost not necessarily replace a role, but they kind of add into a role for a very specific situation, people are going to come up with very, very, very creative ways of getting things done. I know that one of the things that the devs actually said during the 6th Invitational was that they're going to be adding an equipment. So instead of a flashbang or frag grenade or breaching charges, they're going to add an equipment that will allow attackers to get hatches open, reinforced hatches, that is. So I would imagine that as we see this sort of shift away from requiring hard breachers in a lineup, Ace may not see as much use, or he might end up fitting right into that niche of you can open up a wall, you can open up a hatch, or maybe you can just get rid of some utility. But I don't think that Ace is going to replacing any of the hard breachers anytime soon, in terms of you're not going to bring a 3rd hard breacher. It's just not worth it in the current meta. But a lot of things can change from this video until we actually see Ace get completely played out. So for right now, I would say don't bring a 3rd hard breacher at all, regardless of who it is. But definitely consider where Ace is going to be more or less useful depending on the strategy you're trying to execute. Now, the next question is, how do I stay calm in intense situations? I'll leave that up just so you guys can actually read it. But essentially what he's saying is that I actually have the skill to take these 1v1 fights, to actually be able to kind of work through all of these situations, these intense situations. Things are blowing up, candelas are flying, flashbangs are flying, maybe a frag grenade gets tossed and then someone's trying to follow up that with a kill. Any of those situations is kind of a complete chaos driven event that happens within the game, and it actually happens more often than you would realize. One of the things that I think, though, is that you have to get used to actually playing out these sort of situations. Now, obviously, there's gonna be some variables, and you're gonna die a ton in a lot of these situations. The way to stay calm is to understand that, all right, at the very least, if, like, let's say someone's throwing a frag grenade or flashbang, I need to take 1 person with me. Maybe you're in a 1v1, maybe you're in like a 3v5 or something like that, but you need to absolutely try to take someone down with you if you think you're gonna die. A lot of times you either have your fight or flight. flight. Flight being the, hey, I might go through this rotation that I made, or maybe go down a hatch and try to run away and try to stay alive. You can go through that, or you can sit there and try to get at least one kill. You never know if you'll get a second kill or a third kill. It has definitely happened with me. It's definitely happened to a ton of other people because you never really know. But the thing is, a lot of people will get frozen in these situations because they're not really sure what to do. The thing that I say is that, again, the fight or flight, just go with whatever your first instinct is, because the second you actually freeze up and you don't move and you're kind of waiting just to see what else happens, next thing you know, a frag grenade comes flying in that's already cooked that you can't do anything about. And I think that the key situation in all of this is that you have to make a decision and go with that decision. At the end of the day, this is a video game. If you die, you die. If you don't die, then you might get a cool clip or you might get a cool kill that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So understand that there are some situations though that you really just can't get out of, and you might just need to take that fight. If the opportunity allows itself and you kind of hear a couple people coming your way, try to get out of that situation, try to go down a hatch or through a rotational to really just try and run away. But don't turn your back 100% of the time to your enemy, especially if you know that they're chasing you. So the next question is best defenders for playing above an objective. And that's going to be castle, alibi, orcs. Those are some great options. The thing that you're looking for is some sort of shotgun. But one thing that this person didn't point out is that actually a lot of high caliber weapons can also open up holes fairly easily. And one of the people that really comes to mind on this is going to be Valkyrie. Valkyrie has that deagle. She can open holes in walls or in the ceiling / floor very, very easily, especially it only takes a couple of shots with her deagle to really get something open. On top of that, she's able to use her cameras to, locate someone that's below her, or maybe she has a camera pre-placed somewhere and she can get that off. Or if she's playing below a site and someone decides to, hop up on a desk, she can shoot open a hole real quick and toss a C4 through. There's a lot of different options with this, but I think the biggest part when it comes to, picking a defender that's going to stay above an objective, you kind of want an operator that is able to open up holes fairly easily, or that has some way, rhyme or reason with intel that they can actually, get this kind of information fairly quickly. Also, another good tip that I really wanted to just throw in here really quickly is that if you think that you're going to lose a position, or that, you might end up using a position later on, it might be a good idea to just open up a hole preemptively. Maybe it's not in the objective directly, but maybe, you want to get someone that's trying to rappel in somewhere, try to hop in through a window. You might just open a hole above a window or above a doorway that someone's going to try and walk through. That's some key things to think about. A lot of times people don't really think about the verticality of Rainbow Six Siege, and I'm actually going to be doing a video on the vertical gameplay in the coming weeks. But for right now, that's going to be my answer for this question. Now, this person actually was asking for ideas to slow down as an attacker, and I thought this was kind of an interesting concept because I was trying to think about why would you ever want to slow down as an attacker? You're trying to get to the objective as fast as you possibly can. But then I realized that there's a lot of people that don't necessarily go through, the stages of an attacker and actually thinking about how to sort of pace yourself. Because there's a lot of times where people think, all right, minute 30's done, I got to get into sight and kill everyone, and I got to rush the site. There's nothing else I can possibly do that's going to help besides rushing the site. And that's just kind of the wrong way to think about it, especially if you're the entry fragger. One of the key things is, and I kind of go through this in a little more mental way as I play, but normally you want to think about the action phase in 3 different phases. You want to think about the first half, the second half, and the post plan. The first half being trying to get into the building, enter safely, don't lose anyone to the entry, and actually droning your entry fraggers into the building and into the rooms that they need to take, especially if, say on theme park, you're trying to attack the top floor and you have to get into the room to actually get to the wall. Those are some key things that you want to do. So drone ahead of time. You're gonna have your supports normally drone you in, and that's gonna be your first half. Second half, that's gonna be executing onto the site, actually trying to find a way to get the wall open and actually, getting the wall open to go for the plant. And obviously post plant is after the diffuser has been put down. That's just going to be getting back into a spot where you can safely guard the diffuser and not get killed by any defenders. So that's kind of how I think about it. I kind of run myself in phases. There is times though where things kind of, happen very quickly inside a round. People just die or trade out a bunch, and then you're kind of just stuck with, a 2v2 with a minute into the round. You have 2 minutes now to go find the other 2 defenders. So there is different scenarios, but for the sake of this, I'm just going to say say there's just follow that, 3-phase step of first half, second half, and post plant, and I think you'll do a-okay. But the tip for slowing down is just understand that you're just taking the map room by room through the phases and trying to execute onto the site. Because at the end of the day, you want to get that plant down. That's the objective that you're playing, so you might as well go for the plant. So next up, we're going to be taking a look at soft walls. And guys, you can shoot through soft walls. That's what basically all of this whole post is don't be afraid to shoot through soft walls. And I just wanted to throw this in here really quickly because there's so often that I feel like people think, all right, I need to see this person to be able to actually kill them and verify that they're there. But sometimes, and honestly, a lot of times, since the game is a one-shot headshot kill, you can normally get, a one-tap or two-tap through a wall that you didn't think you were gonna get. So sometimes it really does help to just, quickly shoot a window once or twice. I like to, in the beginning of the round, shoot the windows that are facing me. Just shoot them like maybe once or twice. You never know if someone's crossing. There's been a couple of times, you get a lucky kill that way. But in terms of soft walls, a lot of people kind of forget about this because there's defenders might think that they're safe because, oh, the attackers can't see me. But now all of a sudden they get shot through the wall and they're calling you a hacker. So then they have no reason why. But I think one of my favorite things to do, especially if you can actually drone someone out and say the drone's like super far away so they never actually heard it, but they think they're safe next to a soft wall and shooting through that soft wall. Oh, there is no better feeling than that. But seriously, this is just a PSA for you guys if you didn't already know. Shoot through soft walls. You can shoot people through soft walls, especially if someone's, running across a doorway. Just keep that line of fire. Try to track them as best as you can. You might not always get it, but also know if you shoot through a soft wall, you can be shot back. So don't dump your whole mag into this wall in hopes of getting someone unless you know for a fact someone is in that spot. Last but not least, this is one of the ones that I kind of wanted to go into a little bit more, but can you decide to become a fragger or does the role choose you? And I feel like one of the key things with roles is I feel like it's more about how you play, the personality that you really have within the game and how you kind of structure yourself within that. I know a lot of people that really, they just like to be up in your face. They love to have that aggression, be able to get a bunch of kills. And that's why they're the entry fragger when I play with them, because that's exactly what they love to do. But me, I kind of like having that flexibility. I like, turning on the aggressiveness or turning it off and playing a little bit more passive, droning people in. So I like to play more of the flex role, but I also know some people that they just want to drone in. They don't really want to have to go after kills all that often, although now supports are really required more and more to get the same amount of kills as entry fraggers, or at least, keep an even KD. But the thing is with the supports, a lot of times it's not going to be up to them to get the opening kills and sort of finish off the round. It's up to the entry fraggers. So some people really just like that. I feel like it comes down to how you like to play and how you see yourself playing in other games, because, if you're playing in CSGO, if you like playing with the op versus, an AK or an M4, you're probably going to be a little bit more passive on an op than, with an AK or an M4. So it's just a way of thinking about it and figuring out what kind of personality you have within the game. If you like the aggression and you're not very patient, you might do better on an entry fragger role rather than a passive support role. And that's just the way to think about it, is active versus passive. And it's dependent on what you want to do in the game. Some people kind of find support boring. I love playing support. I love playing all the roles, but I love playing support especially. I tend to play a lot of Hibana and Thermite, so that's just what I ended up liking to do in this game. Anyways, guys, so if you guys really like Siege Academy, if you have any questions down below, make sure to leave me a comment and I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. I have to catch up on all the other comments from the last couple of weeks, but I will definitely get back to you. I try to answer all the comments, all the questions that I possibly can. Sometimes the replies fall through because I don't necessarily see them, but I'm going to try to get back to all of you guys as soon as possible. But with that being said, that's going to wrap things up for today, and this is going to be Joshsnipes signing off.